Hello and welcome to the next chapter of KNX Advanced book. It's called Light Control. In this chapter we want to learn a bit more about light control in advanced way. So let's start. One of the important parts to control in rooms, also the public area in buildings nowadays, is light control. So we should provide the best light control ever they have, because our system in BMS should make some difference in compare it to before. With the conventional devices. Now the smart systems, or it's better to say smart and automated systems, can provide the better control for light according to the needs for special places in building. Okay, and in before it was not so easy without any networked devices. So we should make a difference. So because of that, first of all, we should understand the project. What is the type of the project? Is it residential? Is it commercial? Offices? Multitask? Complex? And then in contact with the customer or client, we should go to the light designer if the project has it, or architecture, and then coming back and collect all data, put it together and select the right product to control. This one is going to help the architecture save energy, increase comfort, and provide a better ergonomy environment for the people. So we have some reasons behind of design and select the material we needed in devices based on KNX, for example, to control the light. One of the important usage in offices, for example, it can be to use the natural light that for many of the buildings are available outside, and then decrease the usage of light inside of the room to help the save of the energy. Okay, and at the same time provide the enough ergonomy environment for the users. So this is one of the examples. We call it constant light control. That if it is performed in the right way, we can reach the nice save of the energy, but it's not so easy to do it. Also, another scenarios can be applied in the building with residential usage. It is possible to not only provide the artificial light, the dimmer, for example, between 0 to 100%, to provide the nice environment in different part of the residential building, like living room, TV room, dining room, and so on. But also it can be worked in combination with shutter actuators and HVAC systems to minimize the energy usage. So we can help the usage of energy in other parts also with the help of control of light. So because we talk about control, so we should take care of two types of control we have in light: closed loop control and open loop control. In closed loop control, always we use the feedback to control the actuators automatically. In open loop control, we do not have any feedback, but we have some set point and threshold. So we will see how we can proceed with this. Okay, you can see here in open loop control there is no any feedback. We have the controller, the actuators, and the system lamp. But here in closed loop controller, we always have the sensor inside of the room. We can sense the amount of light that is reflected from the surfaces in rooms, provide enough data to the controller, make the control value, the output is going to the actuators and lamp. Okay, now we want to talk more about the constant light control. To make the constant light control, we need some hardware. Okay, the picture that the user see it in rooms, it's only one sensor on a ceiling, but behind of it there are some components that we should use it. So what component we have? Look at this picture. We have the closed loop controller. That this closed loop controller most of the time are integrated in the sensor. So when we want to order the sensor, it's the, for example, light sensor plus light controller, or presence sensor plus light sensor plus light controller. So the light controller is inside of it. What is the light controller here? So, for example, from the keypad, you can enter the set point or consider the set point before in parameter to the controller. It's coming to the controller. There is some comparator in the controller. Most of the time, the light sensor also integrated in this controller. So it sends the light in the room and then compare with the set point, make the control error here, and then control here is entered to the controller. Most of the time this controller is some sort of PI controller, but note that in light control in KNX devices we cannot change the coefficient for the PI, and it is set as in a default factory. So then the output from the controller will be control value. This control value is going to the actuator and system like lamp and so on. Okay, so this is the actuator. This actuator can be the dimmer actuator, can be the Dali gateway, can be the Dali actuator, and 1 to 10 volt DC dimmer actuator, and so on. And then it affects the amount of light in the room and try to change it in automatically way. For example, you put 400 lux as a set point. The amount of light that is read from the sensor is 300. 400 minus 300 is 100 lux. We need to make it in room in an artificial way, not from natural. Okay, so this 100 is enter the controller. The output from the controller will be 25%. 25% is going to the dimmer actuator. Dimmer actuator is light up to 25% and make the room brighter to reach the 400 lux that we needed in the set point. So this is the closed loop controller. We have some devices like actuators, sensors, and controller inside to make it happen. Of course, when we have the sensor on the ceiling and we need some specific light on the desk, we should take care of what amount of light this sensor read it and make the right calibration. Great. During this job for dimming, we should notice that, for example, the eye of the human is not so sensitive to 80% or 100% light. Okay, so we can put the maximum light to 80%, and with this we can save the energy. I mean, when we use the dimming actuator, if we use it in a right way, okay, because if you use it in a wrong way, always you lose the amount of light you needed. I mean, if you choose the wrong lamp, wrong actuators, it makes you big mistakes. okay? But if you choose it in the right way, understand the technical matters from both sides, then by applying some very simple changes, for example, instead of 100% output from the lamp, we have 80%, because the human eyes do not care about it. So we can save a considerable amount of energy and also increase the lamp life. Okay, good. When we talk about the actuators to control the light and make it provide the dimmer, we have many different actuators. Note that we need the right group object from each of them to make this constant light happen. We can have the dimmer actuators, the phase dimmer actuators. We can have the Dali gateway or Dali actuators. We can have other type of the actuators that is installed behind the keypad or in a ceiling instead of electrical cabinet, and so on. So important things is always you should go to the manual, check the group object, and make sure it provides you the required. But nowadays most of them, 99%, provide you what you need. In KNX, most light sensor can detect the presence of each other and also have the permanent PI controller to generate fixed light. Notice that nowadays most of the brand provide the presence detector with light controller inside, because in this way, according to the standard EN 15232, we can reach the grade B or A in usage of energy. Okay, we can make the building much more green in the energy side. So it is better to use the light controller with persons inside, because if the persons are present in the room, then the sensor trying to reach the desired set point. We set it for it. But if there is no any person, so why we should try to reach the set point in light? When we talk about one sensor, what parts it has? It has the sensor light inside of this sensor. It has the sensor, present sensor inside of it. Okay, for example, PIR sensor, a microwave sensor, or combination of them. Then in the programming in ETS, most of the time for the professional sensors, listen to me, for professional sensors, still there are not professional sensors in the market, but for professional sensors we have different blocks. Each block can control individually. For example, we have the block for persons of people. Individually it can control it, no dependence to anything. We can have the block to make the motion for the security reasons. We can have the block for control the HVAC without taking care of the amount of light. Okay. Then it can provide us different type of control in light control if it has it. 2-point control, PI control, and so on. And then also, as the European like it, many of these sensors can also set its regular parameter by IR sensor, IR remote. Some very simple IR remote. If you order it before, you can point it to the sensor and change the settings. Okay, of course, for professional sensors, it provides us the enough group objects that we can do it in the monitoring side. But please remember, you should read it in manual to make sure. So each sensor has some coverage area. Go to datasheet and see it. If in this coverage area, always it is shown, if you install the sensor in a specific height, how much square meter it can coverage it, or in which diameter it can coverage the detection area. Okay. Also, during the search for devices, for sensors, because we said it's better to have the presence sensor. Always see which heights it can be installed. Okay, for some companies we have two type of sensor. One type is for regular height, like 2.5 meter to 3 meter, and one is for 7 to 9 meter. Okay, so you should check the data sheet always. If you use the presence sensors plus the IR light sensor, always it is so important where you put it. First of all, it should not put in direct position to the sun, okay, because most of them, they are PIR, are sensitive to the amount of heat they detect, so they should not be in the direction of the light. Then they should not install next to the HVAC systems, okay, because very cool or very hot air can affect the detection. Then they should not install right next, very close to the big amount of light, because if you have big amount of light in a room, it detects as a human, okay, because these sensors are sensitive most of the time to the heat. So you should place somewhere that provide us the right detection, not behind any objects and so on. When you want to place the sensors with the light sensor, it is advisable to place in somewhere that it can detect the amount of reflected lights in a right way. You can see in the picture. So you should take care of the coverage of each sensor. Each sensor, according to the lens of it, it can detect in a square or in a circle, or like the cloud and so on. Okay. Also we have different type of sensors: PIR sensor, microwave sensors, ultrasonic, HF, and the combination of these. Okay. So always the combination can be better, but the price is high because of the health necessity. Most of the time PIR sensors are used. For constant light control, take care of the calibration. When you install the devices, when you install the architectural component in a room, the table, the different objects like PC or whatsoever, then after that you should do the calibration and enter the data manually to the parameter side, or for some sensors it is going to calibrate it itself automatically cyclically. Okay, so you should have some devices like this to read the amount of lux on a table in that room that you want to perform the constant light control, and then enter this data to the sensors. And after that, whenever you change the architecture of the room, you should calibrate it again. Look at the output of the system with the PI controller. First of all, we have the rise time, that is not so much, and the settling time. You can see from here to here it's the settling time. So there is an output, we have some very little overshoot, and we reach the set point in a nice settling time. This is our desire with the closed loop controller. With the PI controller inside, we should try to reach it. Okay, so for a very simple example, we can consider one keypad, one dimmer actuator, and one sensor with a controller inside. So first of all, to perform the constant light control, we should have the control between the keypad and the dimmer actuator as we have in the basic course. It's very simple. But for presence sensors, what's happening? For presence sensor, look at this parameter of this presence sensor. I have it First of all, I have some part as actual value correction that is going to provide me some possibilities to enter the calibration data. In block configuration, you can see for this sensor I have 5 different blocks, for example, to control light, to control HVAC, to control security system, monitoring, and so on. And I have the light control function, so because I have the my question is only for light control, so I disable all of them. I go to light control and enable it. Okay, so you can see the possibilities to receive the IR command from the remote controller. Outside remote controller, it's provided. So look at here. This controller, this light controller, it's asked me depending on a movement or not. Okay, so because I want to have the presence sensor plus constant light control, so I need to reach the set point whenever the people are in the room. So I select it depending on the movement for this one, of course. Then we can take care of the sensitivity of the sensors. You can see high, medium, low. Also, this sensor has some special things because it has 4 IR sensor inside of it in 4 directions. So we can select the different direction of the sensors and have the different sensitivity. Sometimes it's really helpful for us. Okay, so what is the transition between manual and auto? So remember that always we should have the possibility to switch off the lighting control. Okay, if you put the lighting control for some rooms, you should have the possibility to switch it off and let the dimmer work independently to the automatic mode or constant light control, because sometimes we need it. I mean, we do not want to eliminate the project in an admin level to not be able to use the manually control of the devices. Okay, we should provide this. Of course, to save energy, it should work in automatic way, but we should have some manual as a feedback, because if you remember, in a fail-safe planning, we should always take care of the fail-safe things. Okay, so here also we decide which useful data we want to make it manual or auto, and this is a resolution. We use it to control the light. The time, it is also important. Elapsed time, if the sensor select the human and after sometimes this does not select any human, so how much time after that it should send the off telegram. Okay, of course, for this sensor we have the group object. We can change this elapsed time by the monitoring system. Also the brightness, what is a set point we needed in a room. Okay, for some regular office 400 lux is enough. For some laboratory like 600 700 lux is enough. It's according to the standard of the ergonomy way. Great. So look at the group addresses what we have. It is very simple. One group address is for on-off. Okay, in this on-off we have the group object from the keypad, we have the group object from the dimmer actuator, and we have the group object from the output of the sensor. Okay, it is important. From the output of the sensor you can see switch output, closed loop control. Okay, for relative dimming we have the group object from the actuator, group object from the keypad, and group object from the output of the actuators. For absolute dimming and status and on-off status is the same. Also we have some auto manual possibilities to make the sensors, presence sensor, automatic or manual. I mean, this automatic or manual, the closed loop control of the light in presence sensors, we do it with the keypad. And also we want to see what is the amount of life in our keypad, LCD of the keypad. So apart from the phase dimmer, we want to talk about the Dali digital address lighting. So what it means, it is a protocol to control light in an intelligent way. Okay, so the devices from Dali itself, it can work very fine, but we can connect it to the KNX also. So in Dali 2 devices, we can have 40 Dali ballast or 64 Dali ballast or Dali driver to connect it to the lamp. Okay. Also, we can have 64 sensor, keypad, and so on with each channel. So totally, we can have 128 Dali devices. But from these Dali 2 devices, only 64 can be the Dali ballast or Dali driver. About the wiring, if you use the wire, 2 wire, you can see DA plus and DA minus. If you use 2 wire with 1.5 square millimeter as a surface of it, you can have up to 300 meter Dali line. Okay, and then to energize the Dali driver with the utility and city power, you can have the neutral, earth and phase for that one. Okay, so even you can have a very simple 5 to 1.5 square millimeter cable and connect all the drivers together. So there is a Dali tester. The companies get this Dali tester, test it, and provide the details. Nowadays in Dali 2 it's getting much more better, as I understand, because the integrity is getting better. These data are checked by the organizations. In the Dali systems, we have different devices. Dali driver to drive the lamp. We have the Dali power supply. We have the Dali sensors. We have the Dali interface push button. You can see in the picture. Okay, and so on. Also Dali phase dim, yes, of course. So we have different devices in Dali, but it is possible to use it with KNX. Dali is placed, Dali devices, like the driver, it's placed in a field level of BMS. We can have the controller in a control level of BMS or use the monitoring level as a BMS or backnet. So the upper level is the Dali gateway to KNX or backnet, and the lower level, I mean in a field level, it's the Dali driver. Because of that, the KNX is a good solution for that. So what we have in Dali, we have, for example, you can control these 64 Dali ballasts in each line individually. You can dim it from 0 to 100%. All type of lamps. Okay, 230 volt phase dim lamps. You can control it. You can control the lamps based on constant current, constant voltage, RGBW that support Dali, and so on. Okay, so it is possible to control different type of lamps if you have the right Dali driver. Some company in world provide the right Dali drivers. They are so famous, like Tridonic, Philips, Osram, and so on. Okay, so then you can see in a picture, you can provide the dimmer for each one individually. You can broadcast some message to all the Dali ballast in Dali from the Dali controller. This Dali controller can be the KNX Dolly Master. Yes, you can broadcast. You can control some drivers in groups. We have 16 group different control in each line of the Dali. It is possible. For example, group 3, if this ballast and this ballast and this ballast is connected to the group, is assigned to the group tree, and if you send on, so all of them switched on. Or you can send a specific amount of light, like 60%, to a specific group. For example, here in the picture is group number 7. Or perform the scene. In Dali itself, without any KNX connection, we can have up to 16 scenario. So it is possible. With use of KNX, there is no any limitation. You can perform the scenarios as you like with these mini servers and servers nowadays. Okay, we have the Dolly Master and some sort of Dali Actuator Master. But important things, when you use it from the KNX, the Dolly Master, for most of the time there is no need to use the Dali power supplies, because these Dolly Master are connected directly to the 230 volt from the utility, and it can provide the right power supply to the Dali driver. So we can use the Dali systems in a big project, commercial, offices and so on, because you know it reduces our electrical cabinet size very much. And then also you can use it for electric for exit light, because you can network the exit lights, and it is possible to provide the cyclical testing according to the rules. Also, it is possible to use the Dali to perform the artificial lighting from RGBW or to any other type of lighting, as I said. In compare to the 1 to 10 volt VC or phase dimmer, the Dali, you can see, make our life very easier. You can only connect the Dali, you can see here the orange one, to the drivers, and that's it. It can be linear, daisy chain, or star or tree, and then power up the Dali driver with the city power, and you have the different dims. Okay. Also, you can use the presence sensor from KNX and connect it to the KNX line. It's much better than here that from each consumer you should have the wiring to the actuators. This is much better. Thank you so much for listening to me. I hope you enjoyed, and see you in next courses. Thank you so much.